In the past week, ICE agents have made hundreds of arrests as part of President Trump's crackdown. Many of those arrests happening miles from the southern border. ICE agents making more than 3,500 arrests in just the last few days, including in some of the country's largest sanctuary cities. Both Chicago and New York City have been a big focus for President Trump's new administration. U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Christy Noem is in New York today, and border czar Homeland was recently in Chicago. Correspondent Alex Capriello is live in Chicago. So, Alex, Chicago, just one of the cities where its sanctuary city status now under investigation.
Yeah, the mayor, Brandon Johnson, here in Chicago, received a letter late last night from Washington, D.C., asking him to come to the nation's capital to testify in front of a select committee members about the sanctuary city status, about the local laws and ordinances that are in place, and how it might be prohibiting federal law enforcement agents from actually doing their job when it comes to enforcing immigration control. The mayor did not answer any questions about whether or not he would be going, leaving that up to his legal counsel. They say that the city is currently reviewing whether or not that is an actual mandate to testify or just an invitation to testify. But as we know, Brandon Johnson has been one of the most outspoken critics of the Trump administration and his plans for mass deportation. This comes even after the acting attorney general threatened legal action against these sanctuary cities. Earlier today, I asked the mayor at that press conference about how his city has been preparing for the possibility that he might receive a letter like this. You'll also hear right after the mayor a soundbite from Homeland when NewsNation caught up with him recently about the mass deportations that are happening all across our country. Take a listen.
What's clear from this administration is that they do not have the full pulse or the breadth of what people in America are calling for. And, you know, he has made it no secret that he wants to dismantle the education department. And he's made it very clear that he is not willing to, uphold the very sensibilities of our democracy to make sure that we're protecting the civil rights of individuals.
We're going to keep doing what we're doing. Every day we're going to be out there. We're going to prioritize criminal threats, national security threats. Then we're going to start opening the aperture to others.
It's very interesting that the mayor talked about the pulse of the American people not wanting this when at the very same time the majority of American voters voted for Donald Trump on the promise of mass deportations. Not to mention recent polling show that more than 60% of Americans say that they support the action of deporting violent criminals. Right now, you're taking a look at sanctuary cities under investigation. These were the 4 mayors who received letters. Of course, we've been talking about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, also Denver, New York, and Boston. The letter from James Comer, the chair of that committee, writes, quote, "Sanctuary jurisdictions and their misguided and obstructionist policies hinder the ability of federal law enforcement officers to effectuate safe arrests and remove dangerous criminals from American communities, making Americans less safe." 4 cities, however, stand out in their abject failure to comply with federal law: Chicago, New York City, Denver, and Boston. Citizens of all 4 cities have suffered due to these sanctuary policies. If this is actually a mandate and not an invitation to testify in front of this committee, well then, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson will have to show up in Washington, D.C. Tuesday, February 11th for that hearing. Kelly.
All right. So, Alex, while this tension continues between the federal and local governments, immigration and customs enforcement, they're continuing to target and arrest criminal immigrants. You outlined that. What's the very latest on the operation?
Well, we've been showing pictures and videos of Homeland Security Secretary Christy Noem in New York City observing the operations of some of these immigrations and customs enforcement operations. We have some of those pictures and videos that you could take a look. You could see her wearing that body vest as required when you go on ride-alongs with immigrations and customs enforcement. Some of those undercover officers, as well as from the FBI, ATF, CIA, and others out there going and finding these illegal immigrants as justified by the federal government and making those arrests for deportations. But we also saw a mass raid happening outside of Denver, Colorado. We've been reporting about Denver recently because of the high presence of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. We could see those federal agents there making a bust, actually breaking down the door. They say that they were able to confiscate more than 130,000 fentanyl pills, as well as meth, cocaine, and other drugs. Kelly.
Wow. All right, Alex Capriello, thank you for the breakdown.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.